Hi friends, it is time. I'm seeing The Substance tonight in a general advanced screening, a Fright Night screening, and I am so psyched, although I just looked at the runtime, so I'm even more interested to see what the hell happens in this film. I have seen part of the trailer and it looks to be an experimental film, and I'm really curious about the longer runtime. I don't think it's a problem, but I'm very curious about 2 hours and 20 minutes and how it's going to unravel. The movie stars Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid. It is by the same director as Revenge, which I really liked, but it's a completely different story. This film is about a fading Hollywood star who turns to a black market drug. She hopes that it will create a better, younger version of herself. This is a body horror drama, and people have said it's absolutely fucking insane. Complete chaos from start to end, so I am ready for the ride. This is another one of those films that claims people walked out because they were so horrified by what they saw in a screening in Netherlands. 10% is said to have walked out unable to handle the rest of the film or crying. They also claim one person fainted and the rest loved it. So I can tell you, I will not be walking out no matter what. I have not done that I don't think ever I've ever walked out of the cinema and stayed out. I could be wrong, but it doesn't come to mind the last time I did that. I'd love to know the last time you guys did that. I don't do that. I stick through them. And I'm pretty sure I'll be able to handle this one. But there's only one way to find out. I'll let you know how much I enjoyed it and who I think it's for, whether it's worth your money and your time going out to the cinemas to catch it. Completely spoiler free. Let's go watch The Substance. I'll take you with me. Oh my fucking god. I've never seen a film like that. I don't think I'll ever see a film like that again. The hype is real, and I promise you this film cannot be overhyped. What the fuck? The noises I made in that cinema, the whole time, I was screeching, I was yelping, I was laughing. I did not expect any of that, and then it just kept... I promise where this film starts and where it ends, you can never predict. And I promise you that the trailer, because I had seen kind of, not the trailer in full, but I've seen splices. I guess the trailer's quite all over the place with the stylization and the way it's kind of cut together. It's very abstract. I promise you have no idea what's coming. Okay, we have a lot to talk about, completely spoiler free. I'm not going to even touch the plot, but I will say, of course, as we said at the start, it is about a woman who was in the show business and she finds a way to access a black market drug. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And that's, honestly, that's the tip of the iceberg. This film, people said it was non-stop craziness from the start to the end. I would disagree with that. I think that the craziness definitely ramps up in parts, but the start is so interesting in terms of the layers to it. It is a metaphor for, body image, body dysmorphia, also women and how they age and how media perceives them and how they perceive themselves. So not only is it a deep and really dark and sad, very relatable story, there are some scenes in there that are just brutal and they aren't gory or body horror, anything like that. There's just some amazing scenes Demi Moore has. It also goes to the extreme where it is over the top lunacy. It crosses every single barrier, every single layer, every single thing that you think may happen. It will exceed your expectations. I'm telling you, it will. It will. So I really liked the duality of that, I guess, with the softer, meaningful side to it, and then how extreme it gets in terms of gore, practical effects, body horror, and just horror, thriller. It's just, a wild ride, an absolute mind-blowing experience. It really is. I happened to find my friend Scott in that theater, and we sat next to each other. I met Scott through doing this, and we were just, sometimes I just looked over at him and he looked back at me, and we had no my jaw has never been so far open during a film. I have never seen anything like that. Let's talk about the stylization. I thought it was really interesting knowing that this is the same director who did Revenge. If you've seen Revenge, the start portion of that is quite heavily stylized. It's very neon, or I guess oversaturated, vibrant, and has some high clarity shots, I would say. You get those close-ups. I think she bites an apple or something like that in Revenge, and it's like that crisp sound, and it's just this interesting, visceral I guess stylization where everything is very close. You can see every pore, every smudge, and it feels uncomfortable. It's overwhelming. Instead of trying to make it picture perfect, it is almost too close to you. And I really like the utilization with that, with Dennis Quaid's character. It's very interesting how he is tied into the story and how he is kind of like a symbol for a stereotype that we all know. And I felt like I was very repulsed by a lot of what he did because of the angles and the up closes. It's almost like you could smell the smoke when he was chain smoking through the screen, which I thought was really interesting. The angles are so intense and so confronting, and it just works so well with it being a body horror theme. In terms of the body horror, this is one of the most gory films I've ever seen and ever will see. There are so many references I want to spit at you, but I can't. But it was really a Cronenberg dream for sure. Those aren't even the references that I was thinking, but I do think with the stylization in some of the transitional scenes, I can see an influence or a shared influence between Brandon Cronenberg and his films. I like how he, when it gets into a body horror portion, usually utilizes different kinds of sound and experimental abstract objects and lighting, and there's a little bit of that in this, which I thought was really cool, especially after seeing Possessor and Infinity Pool and looking at his behind the scenes technical process on creating kind of abstract imagery that works to give you the psychological change as well as the physical change. And talking about physical change, my God, was this done well. The makeup was spectacular, and then everything else that goes with it, just like 10 out of 10 for all of the practical effects mixed with the CGI, mixed with the makeup, everything, layered, prosthetics, everything was amazing. The movement, the sound in conjunction with that, just beautiful. And I do like that this film had, I wouldn't say minimal sound, because when it is used, it is intense, but it is more of a kind of gasping away background music where it supports the main theme instead of working as its separate entity, which makes sense, but it really turns it up another notch, and really, especially with those clarity, close up, every pore shots, it really makes you feel uncomfortable, and also leads into the action portion. So this film, I would say, also has a huge action component, and it really is this intense background beat that is supporting the kind of the slick and modern element of the film. All of this together, it just creates this stylization which I saw kind of peeking through in Revenge, and now I feel like it's there full force, and they've just let her fucking go wild, the director. And my God, applause to that. You needed to support this film full force for them to be able to make what they did, because my God, is this insane. And speaking of that, the star of it all, Demi Moore in this film is spectacular in every portion of this film. She takes it up several notches. I mean, Margaret Qualley's great in the film, but Demi Moore is something else. This is her film. She is the star. Oh my God, what a spectacular film to do in your career, to not only, I'm sure she connects deeply with this film, but to not only send such a important message and talk about this in such an open way, but push it to the extreme where it is so shoved in people's faces that they can't ignore it. And I absolutely adore the message of the film, and I love the way it was all put together. Guys, you need to see The Substance, and you need to see it You need to see it in the cinema. This film had everything I love. It was body horror, it was smart, it was slick, it was not dumbed down. There's not even a lot of dialogue. It's not really dialogue heavy. And the runtime did not even feel it. I could have watched that all day. I was wondering how they were going to end it. And I'll tell you, I think that they knew what they were doing, you know? It is a very chaotically but cleverly crafted film with a deeper message. And what more can you like out of horror? This is what horror is all about. Bringing people's traumas, but also stuff that is so relatable to the human experience and bring that to the forefront in the most intense, gut punch, disturbing, bloody, gory way. I'm going to give this film a 10 out of 10. I'm doing it because I was thinking 9, but honestly, I would not change a thing. I would not change a thing. It just has so much to say, and I honestly, my rating system, I stop at a certain point if I don't feel like the film is layered in a way that is even personal to me, because it is a personal score. At the end of the day, I do a personal score. It's not just the score of the film, and that's intentional because it's always about perspective and opinion. And for me, this film is chef's kiss. Obviously my favorite of the year. Do I have to say that? For gore, it gets a 9. And for originality, I'm going to give it an 8. I do think that we have seen, in terms of the body horror, there is a lot of references that I love, that I see in this film, but I feel like the way it's constructed, the story, the stylization, and the layers, there's nothing like this. So I mean, I don't have to justify it. There's nothing like this. And I'm sure when you watch it, which you will, hopefully, please, if you are sensitive to gore, look up any gore things you need to. It is a lot, but I loved it, and I think you're going to absolutely adore this film. I really do. Okay, friends, that was a very unexpected journey, but honestly, the best Friday night I could have had, so thank you so much for spending it with me. Earlier in the week, I saw Speak No Evil, and also don't forget, I did do What's Coming to VOD this month. I've done a video on that. If you want to check out what you can stream this month at home, check that video out, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.